a beautiful life taken far too soon. Hello viewers, in this video, we'll tell about the tragic unresolved murder of Sharmini Anandavel. Sharmini Anandavel, who is 15 years old, wanted to save some cash so she could purchase new shoes for her impending 9th grade graduation. She informed her parents she was going to a new job, which is why she moved out of the Toronto apartment where she was living in June 1999. She never came back. It would take for months for her remains to be discovered next to the Don River in a shallow grave. In that period, multiple accounts regarding her final days arrived. Her parents thought she was recently offered a job by a neighbor, but Stanley Tippet and his family had already left by the time they arrived at his door. On the day of her disappearance, different people saw Sharmini in different places, but no one knew what she was doing in her final hours. Numerous volunteers, police officers, and helicopters searched the neighborhood in an effort to find her. However, months later, her body was discovered by a father and son who had been enjoying a walk in the neighboring parks. Her bones had already been scattered by coyotes at the time, and there was no longer any chance of finding her killer's DNA or even establishing an official cause of death. Piecing together the clues after Sharmini Anandavel went missing. Despite this, Sharmini's family and the police were pretty sure they knew who had killed her. Stanley Tippet, the neighbor who was reportedly crucial in helping her secure the job she was going to when she vanished, was being fingered even before her body was discovered. Tippet had a history of impersonating a police officer and had already had a couple of brushes with the law, dating back as far as 1991, when he was just 16 years old. Tippet's mother claimed that, because of his sunken face structure and incomplete ears, which were born due to Treacher-Collins syndrome, he was abused by neighboring kids and classmates when he was younger. Tippet was in his early 20s and lived downstairs from Sharmini Anandavel's family, with his own wife and kid when Sharmini went missing. He said he was close with a lot of the kids in the building at the time, often taking them swimming at a local pool. Stanley Tippet becomes a suspect in Sharmini Anandavel's disappearance. Sharmini had been tight-lipped about the nature of her new job, at least where her parents were concerned. And maybe for good reason, given that those who knew her thought she was going to work undercover for a police anti-drug operation. When investigators investigated her room, they discovered a fake application for the Metro Search Unit, which is not a genuine law enforcement agency at all. All of these things and more pointed to Tippet, but it was all circumstantial. Tippet could not be directly linked to the application found in Sharmini's room, or to her death. Nobody had seen him with her on the day she vanished, and there was no forensic evidence connecting him to the crime. Soon after police first questioned him, Tippet reportedly sold his car for only $10 to a junkyard. Although the authorities were able to collect the vehicle before it was destroyed, they were unable to find any evidence connecting Tippet to Sharmini's death. Ultimately, police had to let Tippet go, and the case remains technically unsolved, classified as a cold case more than 20 years later. When I retired, I found myself apologizing to the Anandavel family, Matt Crone, one of the lead investigators on Sharmini's case. Later told CBC News, "I think they deserve resolution for this, which they haven't had, which nobody's given them." Tippet's continued run-ins with the law. Stanley Tippet had multiple encounters with the law in the years following Sharmini's death, one of which ultimately resulted in his indefinite imprisonment, even though he was never accused in her killing. After Sharmini vanished, Tippet and his family moved from Toronto to Ontario, where he was repeatedly charged with harassing and eventually got a brief jail sentence for bothering a neighbor. After his release, it is reported that he approached two young women and a 12-year-old neighbor, offering them a fictitious job at the YMCA. Authorities said that, after the second woman alerted them, They searched Tippet's house and took his van, finding sorts of stuff that could be your abduction kit 101. This contained a hammer, knife, plastic sheets, cable ties, duct tape, and rope. After confessing guilt to criminal harassment, he was sentenced to 2 years in jail. Soon after his release, Tippet found himself in legal hot water once more. On this occasion, he was charged of abusing a 12-year-old child sexually. Just after midnight, according to court records, Tippet picked up two girls who were obviously drunk and offered to drive them home. He was accused of attacking one after he dropped the other off in the park. Police answered calls from concerned citizens who said they heard someone screaming. Tippet's story was that he had been carjacked by two men who were the actual perpetrators of the attack. This story did not stand up in court, however, and in 2009, Tippet was convicted of 7 counts, despite continuing to maintain his innocence. He was classified as a dangerous offender and denied parole as recently as 2018. To this day, he likely remains behind bars. Stanley Tippet arrested. If Stanley Tippet's allegations are true, his arrest and incarceration may successfully stop a deadly predator from walking the streets. However, it doesn't provide any insight into Sharmini Anandavel's terrible passing. Tippet continues to maintain his innocence in that case, as well. He doesn't mention Sharmini's name in interviews. He simply refers to it as the Don Mills incident to the neighborhood where he and Sharmini lived at the time. About the authorities, even though detectives like Matt Crone are absolutely certain that Tippet is responsible for the crime, they may never have sufficient evidence to bring charges against him for Sharmini's killing. So, for now, Sharmini's murder remains classified as a cold case, listed as Homicide 36 for 1999, and both authorities and Sharmini's family must live without the closure that a charge against Tippet, or anyone else, might bring. Friends, this was the tragic unresolved murder of Sharmini Anandavel. Viewers, what you can say about this case, please tell me in the comment box. Friends, if you like this video, please like the video and subscribe my channel for more amazing videos, and do not forget to press the bell icon. Take care of yourself, and I meet you in a new video.